Hello, my friends. Welcome back to another episode of the IELTS Clinic, which is brought to you by Operation IELTS. Another question that was sent to us earlier this week was from Michael, who said that as he was preparing for the listening exam, more often than not, when he is listening perhaps to a past paper or another type of audio, he tends to lose focus. And what happens is, particularly when completing practice papers, that when you lose focus, you begin to lose the order of the questions and you miss important information. That means you're not able to answer some of the questions, and that can turn into an avalanche. A snowball can turn into an avalanche, and you start to lose confidence and you're unable to keep up with the audio. So it's a very common problem, Michael, and to everyone else listening. It's very common for people to not be able to intensively listen to what's happening in the audio, and then slowly but surely they begin to lose the ability to answer questions. So that's also very common because in this day and age, audio is quite common. And I spoke to Michael on the DM, and I mentioned to him, do you listen to podcasts? Do you listen to other types of audio? And many people do. Many people spend a lot of time listening to audio. But what's the difference between listening to a podcast while you're washing the dishes, for example, or while you're coming home on the bus, and sitting down when you are doing an exam? What's the difference between the type of listening? Well, I think that one of them is intensive and one of them is passive. And in order to improve your concentration when you are listening, you have to practice listening intensively. And the instructions that I've given here, this is what I usually tell my students to do when they are struggling with keeping or paying attention to the listening. You should listen first time to a minute's worth of audio very intensively, which means you sit down with your headphones or with your speakers. You sit down as you would in the exam with a piece of paper in front of you and a pen in your hand or a pencil, and then you press play on the audio. And the first time that you listen to that minute, you pay very close attention to the content of the audio. And when you finish the minute, you pause it and you explain to yourself, you explain out loud what was the person speaking about in that audio. Now, maybe you can't pick up all of the content the first time, so you can listen again and try to pick up any bits that you missed during that first recording. Now, you can listen to it as many times as you like because you're practicing paying attention to all of the words that are said and getting the gist, we say, the main ideas of the audio. Once you're confident that you understand the content of the audio, you're going to play it again, but this time you're going to pay very close attention to the vocabulary used. And you're going to write down any new words or any words that you're unsure of or unclear of as the audio goes on. Then when you finish your first minute, when you finish listening to it for a minute, I should say, then if you don't know the meaning of those words, then you're going to go and Google them, or you're going to look in your dictionary, or you're going to look somewhere where you can get the definition and so you can understand what the person is saying. This is also very useful for accents because, as you know, in the IELTS exam, these examiners tend to throw challenging accents at you, either from Australia or New Zealand or Ireland or the UK or the US or Canada. So there's a variety of accents. So it can be useful to check the vocabulary that you've written down against the accent of the person who said it. That's also very useful. And once you're confident that you know most of the vocabulary in that 1 minute's worth of audio, then you're going to step to the third stage, and then you're going to pay close attention to the grammar that's used. Can you identify any complex sentences, any relative clauses, any passive voice sentences, any different tenses that are used by the speaker? Now, the most important thing is that you're listening intensively. You can't do this while you're driving. You can't do this while you're on a break at work. You have to sit down intensively listening to 1 minute of audio. Now, after you've done that on a few occasions with a few different pieces of audio, then you up the length of the audio from 1 minute to 2 minutes. And then you pay close attention to the content, you pay close attention to the vocabulary, you pay close attention to the grammar for 2 minutes. And then once you've done that and you feel confident intensively listening to 2 minutes, you can up it to 3 minutes, etc. Because as you know, if you've already done the IELTS listening exam, some sections of the exam give you quite a big chunk of audio to listen to. So you want to be trying to extend the period of time that you can listen to intensively. But as I've said before on many occasions, preparing for the IELTS exam is a marathon rather than a sprint. So it's going to take you some time. Don't get frustrated if after 1 minute of audio you're already losing concentration and not really listening to every word that's said. Chill out, relax. It's quite normal. It's going to take you some time, but if you do that, if you listen intensively to audio and gradually increase the length of the recording, that's going to help you maintain concentration when you're in the exam. Now, I hope that's helpful to you, Michael, and to everyone else who's listening. Remember that if you have any questions, as I seem to say in every episode, please do send them through to us on our Instagram page or on any of the other mediums that we are using. And I look forward to working with you all again soon. All the very best. Keep working hard, and I hope that's helpful. Goodbye.